God. Has any word in human history been more influential? Mankind has created religion after religion, written book after book, all in an effort to satisfy our quest for knowing God. Now, after many millennia, mankind is more at a loss to the nature of God. In fact, it appears that the tools we created to help us find God serve more as obstacles and hindrances. Those obstacles now stand between God and us. We extend to you an invitation to join Master Eric and Omkar for the weekly program Between God and Us every Sunday evening from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. exclusively on Sankhya Television. Between God and Us. Knowledge to free your soul.
Sitaram, and welcome to Season 2 of the series Between God and Us. This is episode 3 on, let's say, the ongoing discussion of spirituality, God, and how it relates to our everyday lives. And today with me once more, I am with Master Eric, and we are discussing a very recent topic. Although it's an ongoing topic on his series, demonic possessions. But today's topic is about a very recent relevant event here in Trinidad and Tobago. So Master Eric, Sitaram, and thanks for having me again.
Yeah, Omkar, it's a pleasure being with you. You know, I've really liked the joint venture we put together because people, hopefully, is going to start obtaining knowledge, not changing their religions. They're going to get deeper in their religions because we just don't talk about one. We talk about many. So, but before that, I want to say Sitaram, Assalamu Alaikum, Sairam, and good evening, everybody. Omkar, I wanted to talk on this program about possessions, exorcisms, and the possession rate in Trinidad alone has went off the charts. And I'm talking everybody from, lately we've been doing about 45 years old down to a 6-year-old. And in the last 2 weeks, we've done 3, which is a very high rate of possessions. So the negativity that's coming in is way too high. And the people that dabble in the dark side has increased dramatically to obtain materialistic things or to get somebody out of the way so that they could move up. There's many different reasons. But I want to kind of go over the Taylor family that happened in December. And one thing I want to say, the first thing that caught my eye when I started getting all the information, not just that was on the news, is the timeline between inception and death. That's extremely rare. You're probably looking at 1 in a billion people that this happens with. So the mother, I know a lot of people are saying it was medical. Now, any person with common sense will see with the symptoms the way it was, that it wasn't mental. Number 2, mental conditions don't happen overnight. It gradually comes in.
Okay.
With different personality trait, it slowly comes in.
Yeah.
This was overnight. Okay? Now, when she picked up her daughter in Cura, she noticed a difference. The daughter could not look into the sunlight. She had to cover her eyes until they got home. She didn't even want her sister to even say they got home. She wouldn't listen to nobody but the mother. Okay? When they got home, a mental person wouldn't do this. She went into the garden. She picked up wonder of the world leaf and boiled and made tea. Okay? Then she went into her room. After she drank the tea, she started talking to herself, mumbling. Well, that's one of the big symptoms of having a demonic possession. Do you know what's happening there? What's happening there when they mumble and they're trying to talk? The demon is getting more settled into the body to where it will be able to talk. It will be able to take over the body and communicate. Okay. So that's one of the big symptoms there. Now, after that, the mother would be in the bedroom. The daughter opened up the door. And as soon as she said, "You're not who you are," it attacked her. Okay. Now, by Newsday, attacked the mother, the daughter. Yeah. And she said it wasn't her face. It was something else. And then even Newsday reported that they witnessed the scars, a dozen or so scars on her arms from being attacked. Then she had to call the sister, the mother's sister, the aunt of the girl. All right. Then they called her brother. And they were trying to restrain her. Okay? Omkar. All this happened from inception. That's the third day. Mm-hmm. That is a huge and drastic formation and transformation of a demon within a person. Okay? Normally, a possession, before that even happens, we find it. And it normally stays within the stomach area. Rarely it goes into the brain. I have had to pull some out of the brain. Right. Okay, but then the sister took her somewhere. I don't know if it was for help, it wasn't specific.
The aunt or the girl sister?
The aunt.
Okay, all right.
Then she came back with the daughter. And she was the same. So they ended up taking her to a pundit. Now I'm so glad they didn't name the pundit.
Did not?
Right.
Okay.
You know why?
Why?
He'd be out of business.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Okay. One, he told them that somebody has sent something to her to remove her 5 senses. Okay?
Okay.
One, that don't make sense. Because even when the demon takes over, the senses are still there.
Right.
Okay. Number 2, he couldn't help them. So why are you diagnosing if you can't help? The first thing that pundit should have done, because Omkar, there's nobody out here that doesn't know us on air, especially religious leaders.
Yeah.
Why not recommend, like a doctor will recommend a specialist? I'm not saying I'm special, people. But to someone who has the knowledge how to help that girl. Okay?
Yeah. Well, at least recognize that this is out of my field.
Correct.
You should go to this guy or this person.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there's karma to pay for that.
Right.
Serious karma. Then they took her to a spiritual healer in Siparia. And the spiritual leader there, the healer, gave her a bath. Right. Okay? And prayed with her. Right? But Omkar, how many times have I said on TV, you could take 1,000,000 baths and it's not going to phase one of these.
Right.
Okay, so why are these people still doing that? They need to start getting educated. I've offered classes to the spiritual leader. Public don't need to know who comes and goes. But at least they would start learning what to look for, how to start dealing with it, how do you approach it to where you don't get hurt, right? But their egos are so big, Omkar, they can't even walk through this door.
Yeah.
Okay, it could be totally confidential. And it would just be religious leaders. Now, I'm not talking just pundits. I'm talking Baptist, Christian, Catholic, and imams. Because I've done over 250 exorcisms for the imams. They're not trained, Omkar. But I have to give them credit. Least they looked for somebody that did.
Yeah.
So I got to give them credit. Even though they're told not to go outside of their belief. Well, if there's nobody within the belief that really does it, you have to look outside, and Allah would guide them.
Yeah. But as you're on the point, does the Quran, in its scripture itself, mention demons as being something that interferes with humans?
Yes, but they don't use the word demons.
Right.
They use jinn.
Right.
And jinns are made of pure fire. That's described in the Quran.
Right.
Right? Actually, it's the same.
Yeah.
But remember, everybody has a different name or terminology to describe these beings.
So they know about, just to clarify, the Muslims, they know about demons, but they just don't, they're not trained to handle, a lot of them not trained to handle possession.
I would say all the religious leaders in the world, 97% are not trained.
Okay.
There's a 3% that, like the Catholic Church, they have exorcism academy to where certain priests are selected, or the priest will sign up for it. And then they start going through the rigorous training on how to do an exorcism. But then I would like to go there and actually talk one day and show them clips. I have clips I could show privately, but not publicly. And Omkar, before we start the next show, I'm going to show them to you because we have them recorded. The face totally changes, Omkar. The face totally changes, okay? And one big mistake that people do, they restrain them. You do not restrain a demon because you're going to bring the true power out. When you do not restrain them, you're showing them you're not afraid. You have no fear.
Okay.
And it's one-on-one. Nobody else gets involved. It's one-on-one. So back to the girl.
Yeah.
So after she got the bath, this is the last night. They fell asleep there because it was late. At 1 o'clock in the morning, she noticed her breathing was getting super heavy. And when she took him to the health center, she was pronounced dead. So the time frame. So evidently that bath didn't work, did it?
No. If anything, probably made it worse.
And I'm telling everybody on TV, if somebody, and you're seeing these symptoms, and you take them to a religious leader, I'm not bashing religious leaders. And if they mention that they need a bath, you start walking out that door. And you start contacting who you feel comfortable with dealing with this situation. See, Omkar, a religious leader is never, I'm going to repeat, never to act like they can do something they cannot do. Everybody knows where their boundaries are. They know where their limitations are. They know where their knowledge lies. And if that's where you feel comfortable, you stay in that lane. But don't act and try to change lanes because someone can die. Now, in my view, the death is on some people's hands.
Yeah.
Because why didn't they contact somebody that could come in and pull it out before it got this far? I don't blame the mother, because maybe she don't know. Okay? But somebody around her in her neighborhood would have known.
Yeah.
Okay? So all I'm pleading everybody is that when you start seeing symptoms, also, she was speaking multiple languages. The girl don't even know no languages. Okay? The strength, the violent tense, of her wanting to attack. That wasn't the girl's demeanor. So, people, when you start seeing these personality traits start to change drastically, you need to start going to someone. When they start being more violent, physical, call someone. Because let me tell you something, I'm seeing a lot of increase in children possessions. Now, the youngest I've done is 6 years old. And
is it, as we're on the topic, predominantly that they possess women and females, or is it that they demons?
To be honest, I've had more female than male. But I had a 6-year-old girl, I've had a 10-year-old boy, and Omkar, we were done for the day.
Yeah.
I was tired, we've done our work all day, and we got the call. Well, during the call, when they're asking us to come, you're hearing all the racket going on in the background. You're hearing things break. You're hearing him roar. And we got up there within 40 minutes because it was quite a ways away. And guys, not my size now, but the ones I had, the size I had last year, 2 neighbors plus the father, they were sweating clear through their underwear, exhausted, because he was throwing them around like a rag doll. And they told me when I walked up, they said, this is not normal. This boy's strength is humongous, Yeah. So we saw him, I dealt with him, and then we were on our way. But what I'm trying to say, children are innocent. And some people say, why would a demon pick an innocent child to possess? Well, one, that demon could have been sent to take down the child to get at the parent. We do not know, and we do not assume.
Okay.
Now, I know for a fact, a demon looks at it as a trophy to possess a child or a spiritual leader. A child is innocent, pure. And
I was just thinking, you mean one of the good spiritual leaders
any spiritual leader.
to possess not a slacker, but like an actual...
No, you're talking more like a Brahmin or...
Yeah.
Now, to be honest, and I think I said it on our first 2 programs, I did do an exorcism on a Swami.
Yeah, you had mentioned that.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, there's no boundaries. But the purest the body is, the more proud that demon gets for possessing that person. Okay? Now, I said before, but I want to relook at it again because...
I was just thinking something funny, right?
Okay, go
I'll
ahead.
tell you because it kind of relative to the point, which is, when Buddha was meditating and the demons kept trying to dissuade him, they kept trying to distract him to get him off from his spiritual path. So, you might have spiritual leaders who don't believe in demons because they say, well, I never experienced that. Well, I have no experience, like no demon ever tried to tempt me or they never saw it. Well, probably that's a sign that they're not on the spiritual path.
Or they're not where they should be.
Probably.
Yeah. See...
Because if you're religious or pure and the demons look at you as a trophy, they'll always be trying to take you down or possess
or get to you.
Or get to you.
You know, but one thing I want to get to is a child is harder to do an exorcism than an adult.
Okay.
One, the power and force you have to use to pull it out. Do you know, Omkar, you can't say prayers and cast it out? If it casts out, it's coming right back. Or if you did it within a religious institution, it may have left that body, but it's went into somebody in the congregation. I've had over 600 cases of that. So it's better to be trained, know the proper way of pulling it out. It's physical. It is pure physical.
Yeah.
Now, some demons, when you approach them, some are weaker demons.
Right.
And it's not that hard to take them out.
Yeah.
But then there's some of them that, like I said, that in the Catholic Church, there's been one case, and it was very famous, to where during the exorcism, the demon killed 8 priests.
Right.
Okay? So there's times where they get very rough, physical rough.
Right.
Now, what plays with the human mind is the demon knows your past, present, and future. It knows what you've done. And if you are not righteous and worthy enough to take it out, they're going to laugh at you.
Okay.
Okay? Because they know what sin you've done this, you've done that. Okay? And I've seen people that went out with me when that demon started saying what they did. Well, nobody knew.
Yeah.
So now he's embarrassed, he's caught off guard, he's not focused.
Right.
So count him as out. He can't help you. Okay? That's why normally when a Catholic priest goes out to do an exorcism, he'll confess his sins before he goes out to another priest. Okay? At least you've acknowledged it to someone.
Yeah.
And God too. Right? So the demon can't play on that.
Is that why they do it? Like, originally speaking, is that why confessions are a thing in Catholicism? Or?
The system is set up to where you can confess your sin. And then, by God's power, they say, we have exonerated you of your sin. Right? But it's abused.
Okay.
And I'm going to say why it's abused. Some people will go in. God isn't stupid. God knows our every move. So what happens is when they go in and they confess, that's great. But that doesn't mean you can go out and do it again and keep coming in confessing the same sin. I don't think it's going to be accepted.
Yeah.
You have to be, when you repent and you confess, that should be, and down here in Trinidad, you say, talk done.
Yeah.
You don't do it again. You learn from it, you confess to God, stay away from what you've done.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't. Okay, so that part sometimes is abused. Okay, but back to the girls. You could tell that the demon inside the 2 girls that we've done, especially the one lately, it was a pure male demon.
Okay.
It wasn't female demon. It was male. Okay? Now, I want you to understand certain things about demons. There's hundreds of different type of category of demons. So that's why you can't stay on your rear end in a chair in a building. People come to you and say, and you say, okay, you have a demon. Well, which one? How are you going to take it out? You have to actually go and confirm where the source is. Every demon that's in the body, there's a source somewhere on that property feeding it. Okay? So you have to find the source. If you take out the demon out of the body without finding and taking out the source, you're going to be repeating it 100 times.
All right. Well, it had something I was thinking. And well, you see the first half of it. In the one where the girl died, the source for that is still on.
It's still on. Number 2, that demon will not die with the body.
And move on.
It's going to move on and find another host.
But move on from
That's
where...
what I'm saying. Those spiritual leaders should have knew what they've done.
Right.
Because, let me tell you something. Now, within a couple weeks, we're going to have another one. And it's probably the same demon.
Well, that's what I
So
was
if people
thinking,
see this program...
The one you do recently, that you guys handle, you think was... No, okay, so the one in Siparia, the possession happened most likely in Kirap area. That's what I'm thinking from the story, because when her mother picked her up, she noticed it was
Right,
already...
she met her in Cura.
Yeah.
She was staying in St. James.
St. James, okay.
With the employer, which was a female.
Right, so the girl came from St. James, presumably, with that...
Traveled up to Cura.
Right.
And then the mother picked her up.
Okay, so the one that...
So that transformation already started. Okay?
Right.
And then it couldn't be around sunlight. Well, that right there narrows it down to 4 types of demons.
Okay.
If somebody knew what they were doing, not being in sunlight narrows it down to 4
right.
out of a couple hundred. Okay? Now, you would have to see her to know which one. And then what language is the demon speaking? Mm-hmm. Now, all demons understand one language. And that is God's language, not human language. Not Sanskrit, Hindi, English, Arabic, or Hebrew or anything. They know that language.
Yeah.
And every time I walk in and it actually starts speaking that language to me, and I'm speaking back, that's when you take a half step back.
Right.
And put yourself at a 45 degree because you don't know what's coming. That means that demon's fully possessed in that body. Okay? Right. But if you go in and try to cast out, like that one time the priest ended up in the ICU, you're going to get hurt.
Okay.
And I don't want the spiritual leaders out here to get hurt. Even though I may have some disagreements with some, you still don't wish somebody to get hurt. Okay, so I'm opening up the invitation again that at the end of April, I'm going to offer a class just for spiritual leaders. Nobody in the public will know they're here. Nobody from the public will be here. And we could start the classes to where they could at least be the front line identification on what they're experiencing, what they're seeing, what's being done, what's being said, how much violent is it. Now, also within the training, they will decipher between mental symptoms versus demonic. There are differences. And then some people, which we mentioned a long time ago, they're being possessed not by a demon. They're being possessed by a soul.
Yeah.
A soul that's never left the earth.
Okay.
Okay? Now that's when you start seeing people that has bad habits. So if they like drinking, or they like gambling, or they like prostitution, well, the demon's looking at him saying, okay, he's not spiritual. He's weak. He's not strong in his faith. I'm taking heed. Because that soul, when he was alive, loved to drink. So now when he takes possession of the person, now he can enjoy what he used to do when he was alive. So people out there, I'm not saying because your husband goes out and has a couple cocktails every night. I'm saying when you see a drastic difference, and then you see the demeanor of the person when they do get some alcohol in them, totally changes. It's almost like bipolar. They'll be one way, and then they go extremely to the other way. Now, some people are like that without a demon. So this is where you have to have the training to decipher. Is this self-inflicted? Is this himself? Or what are the other signs that would say it's not just him?
Yeah.
Okay, so the training has to be introduced. Knowledge is power. Scripture is not power. The knowledge you get from the scripture and you can apply it with experience, it's power.
Okay.
Okay? But do you have any questions, on what we've covered so far?
Well, the main question I have is still concerning like that issue of, because we started talking about the possession that caused the girl's death. So we're always trying to find out, so now that the girl has died, that demon will go back to the source up in St. James. Well, we assuming St. James.
We'd have to walk to places to find out where the source truly is.
Because it could be that she went somewhere and did some kind of activity, like you were telling me, like the Ouija boards.
We don't know.
So she might have gone somewhere and
there could be different possibilities. But one thing we don't want to do as spiritual people is to assume.
Right.
That's a sin.
But the question was that...
but things could have happened.
So where she died, the demon would not be there. He will go back to where...
To the nest.
To the nest.
The host.
Now,
from there, the host can move and he can move.
Right.
So now, they're what you call, when I did the movie, a lot of demons are summoned from realm 3.
Right.
Which is a hell. Actually, it's 9 hells in realm 3. Now, they're going to come over into our realm.
Right.
And in the movie, I described it as they're on the hunt.
Right.
They're looking for a host, a person, to attach themselves to.
Right.
Now, some are summoned from realm 3. Now, that takes a very knowledgeable person.
Right.
I can't say spiritual person because they're summoning.
Right.
But a person with knowledge to actually do that. And then what they do when they summons the demon, they assign a person to the demon.
Right.
To attack. And the demon will have what its task is and what needs to be done.
Okay.
So a lot of times when we're doing the exorcism, we make it beg for its life. It will tell us everything. Do you know how many people out here I know that's doing this? And a lot of times it's the same person that each different possession told me where they live, how much money was made, and who paid them to do it. Okay, so we have a lot of information and we're gathering it. Yeah. Because after we have a total of so many people, I was told by the law, now we can pursue it. If the people sign the affidavits. Yeah. So, just because you're doing it spiritual doesn't mean you're beyond the law. As long as we can prove this happened. And it's not hard in the spiritual world. It's not hard to prove it.
Okay. So, all right, well, since you bring up that point now.
So if I brought up a man, spiritual leader, and then I brought up a man that paid certain amount of money to that. Now you look at their bank accounts. Was that money actually withdrawn from the bank account to pay the person? There's a way to follow this. You just got to start with the information.
Yeah.
Okay? And like I say, God don't sleep.
Right.
A lot of people don't think they're really being observed
Right.
in what they're doing. But you bet your bottom dollar. And all those religious leaders out here, I think you need to start investigating what is the white throne. What is the white throne and what is entombed inside the white throne?
Okay.
I'm going to say that now, and then
Right.
we'll wait a week or two
Yeah.
and see if anybody contacts you or me.
Right.
Because that's rarely discussed. Okay? And then I'll let everybody know who is inside that tomb underneath the white throne.
Okay.
Okay?
Of course, I might hear about that, so I got
Right.
do some research too. Yeah.
So, this topic
So wait, I had a question before you move on, because so in terms of like the government, law enforcement, probably other agencies, they are aware that this kind of activity happens in terms of that they need to investigate certain individuals.
I've been in discussions,
Yeah,
but
but not just here.
the first time
foreign,
you approach an agency,
right?
you should see their facial expression.
Okay.
It's like, oh my God, you're nuts.
Yeah.
You
I can
know,
imagine that will be. Yeah.
But when you walk in, now we did 2 Muslim boys in the north. And do you know when we did those 2 boys, we stopped a murder? The demon actually said when it was ready to die who the target was. And the gang leader that paid to get that demon sent on the boy, so the boy would commit the murder, the 2 brothers,
Right.
and then the demon leave, and they know nothing. But in court, they would be charged with fingerprints on the weapon,
Yeah.
video, whatever,
Right.
right? Isn't that a way that is almost foolproof
Yeah. Murder.
for people
yeah.
to get murders completed?
Well, I think sometimes you hear about that, like people who commit murders on
And
their
they
own
don't
family.
remember.
Yeah, and they don't know what came over them.
Correct. And then they're playing insanity in court, temporary insanity. Okay? So what I'm saying, this is a new agency which is being developed to where we can go in and give the police specifics so they could start an investigation.
Yeah.
It's like we're giving them good tips. Okay? So this is what I'm trying to get at. Now, it would be nice if the Army and the police force here in Trinidad would let us come in and give them a briefing on symptoms so that when they're apprehending someone, because I've got some police that are my friends,
Yeah.
and they'll tell you some of the strength. Either a person could be on PCP or crack,
I was just thinking that.
or they're demonic, because the strength they have.
Yeah.
Now, by looking at their eyes, that's one critical thing you look at. I could tell by looking at somebody's eyes what type of demon. The look of a person that's under substance has a different look, and the eyes aren't normal. This is what, because police sometimes are put in positions to where they could really get hurt.
Yeah.
Okay? So if we just brief them, we're not giving them in-depth training, but to show them, I think their work would be just a little easier and determining. You know, when you look, now, I had one in Europe. They thought he was a mental case. And when they hit him with the stun gun, And they hit him 3 times with that stun gun. And he pulls them out and laughs at him and said, "What are you trying to do?" Then his voice changed. And he started coming at them. That's not a mental case. Okay, a demon will not show fear at all.
Okay.
A mental case, that 3 times is going to keep them down for a while. But this didn't faze it. See, this is what people don't understand. If a demon can come through walls, if they can walk through doors, why do we think shutting our doors are going to keep them out? They're capable of doing or transforming themselves to enter anywhere at any time. So there's some people that's been found that's in prison, and they found that they were possessed. And then once they found out all the information, there had to be a retrial. Because when the exorcism was done, that person was completely normal.
Yeah.
So now you got to go back for retrial. Everybody, the psychiatrist, the spiritual person, everybody has to give their case. So the jury can actually decide on the fate of the individual, or does the individual, does it get dismissed?
Yeah.
But when we talk about spiritualism, demonic possessions, everything like that, it's a taboo. People don't really like to talk about it. They don't like to get involved with it. But the thing is,
That's something I wonder about.
everybody's involved.
Because, well, all the scriptures talk about it. And up until, let's say, 20th century, mid-20th century, people have been God-fearing. Well, what I mean God-fearing, they attend temple and church and the mosque and whatever. So you grow up hearing stories about demons. You grow up hearing stories about demonic possession. In the Bible, in the Hindu religious scriptures, they have Rama and Krishna fighting demon since it's small,
Even
right?
in Jewish faith, because it's a lot like the Bible. And then you have Buddhism.
Yeah.
They even say there's demons.
So
You
why?
look at every religion talks about demonic.
Yeah.
Even the Mayans, even the Aztecs. So this is something that has been known for ages.
Yeah.
Now, I know we're going to have a program on it, but I'm just going to give a teaser on it.
Right.
It's man that is interfering in the history and the knowledge. Because, like in some Christian churches, not all, they state once you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior and you get baptized, this can't happen to you.
Okay.
But if they realize the true meaning of baptism, it has nothing to do about demons and demonic possession. Jesus died for your sins.
Right.
Just like I was talking about ancestral bloodline. Baptism has nothing to do with that to cut it. It's about resolving your sins, dissolving it, and moving forward with a more righteous life.
Okay.
Okay? So, people, don't be fooled in what you're hearing, what's being said, because a lot of people is talking what they personally feel, not the knowledge from the book.
Yeah.
And Jesus took out many demons. So, and then the same thing is what you're talking about, Buddha. The devil came to Jesus and was tempting him, trying to get Jesus to come with him.
Yeah.
He said, I'll give you the whole earth. I'll give you all of this. And Jesus was denying. He says, no. Because the devil knew who he was. Again, wouldn't that be a super trophy?
Yeah.
If Satan could have took over Jesus? But that will never happen. So, If people say today that it don't exist, they're only lying to themselves. Because, and there's a number one rule in spirituality. Always acknowledge what's in existence. Do not deny what's in existence, because you're giving it full power.
Right.
So when people say, oh, they don't exist, that makes them happy.
Yeah.
That gives them more free reign to do what they have to do. So these spiritual leaders out here that are preaching this, they need to take a step back.
Yeah.
Because Jesus never said it didn't exist. He just took care of it.
Because I'm thinking of an analogy, right? That's like me and you sitting in this room and everybody who here. And then there's somebody walking around in the room causing mischief. But all of us agree that this person is not in the room. So the person is doing all the mischief. You know, like when a little child is doing stuff,
right.
You're ignoring the child. They're mashing up stuff, they're breaking stuff, they're causing all kind of trouble in the background. But they're saying, you know what, we are not going to study the child. At the end of the day, everything's going to be broken. But because you're not paying attention or you're choosing to ignore it, you're not dealing with it. It's only when you acknowledge, okay, well, this is happening here, then you can deal with it.
Then there was another case in the Northeast where a girl got possessed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get with the mother and you'll see the before and after. It looks totally, the person isn't the same totally, okay? And they started the possession slowly. It came not in a week or 2 weeks.
All right.
This was over 3 months. And
so by all accounts, a normal possession.
Correct.
Okay.
Some could even take longer.
Right.
Depends. Now, the breath, even though you'd use mouthwash, you'd use everything, smelled like death.
Okay.
The girl was rotting inside. And she was a very attractive woman. I would say about 130 pounds, 135 pounds. Not very tall, so she's proportionally built good.
Okay.
When she died, have you seen those starving pictures or the Holocaust?
Yeah.
How people was all curled up and deformed?
Yeah.
That was her. And they didn't know about us, and she died. So what I'm saying, it's just not happening to one person.
Right.
This is happening all over, even the world.
Yeah.
Okay? And then some people wonder why sometimes I'm not here. Well, sometimes I will be called out, and we have to go take care of these cases. But in reality, the universe is made up of two things: positive and negative energy. That's what makes the universe spin.
Okay.
Okay? So, if there's always positive and negative, why wouldn't there be angels, deities, and demons? Mm. All the ancient pictures, doesn't it talk about the three lokes? Doesn't it talk about the demon world?
Yeah.
And the demon world always wants to come to earth to take over. And then eventually, if they take over earth, they want to start taking back heaven. Okay? And that's in every belief.
Yeah, because remember the Hindus have where the Devatas and the Asuras, I think it is?
Yeah, Asuras.
They're fighting ever since to control.
Correct.
It's always a power struggle then.
Correct.
Yeah.
See, I think people have the idea that heaven is such a great place. It is. But the hierarchies within heaven are always at fighting. They're always protecting heaven.
Yeah.
Okay, the Catholics, they got St. Michael. You got St. Gabriel. I mean, not St. Michael. Yeah, St. Michael. And then you have Gabriel. You got Ariel. You got Chandan. So there's so many archangels that are there to defend. Remember, according to the Bible, the demonic didn't exist until the war in heaven.
Right.
That's when Lucifer, which was the general of all for God, of the army, rebutted against God.
Yeah.
and challenged God.
You tried a coup.
Correct, a coup. And 1/3 of the angels fell to the earth.
Yeah.
So, if people don't believe in this now, then they don't believe in what Jesus did. They don't believe in that story either in Genesis.
Right.
Okay, I recommend everybody start reading their scriptures, and they'll start seeing more of what we're trying to talk about.
Their own scriptures, because the Hindus have basically the same stories as the
Correct.
Christians, and the Muslims, I guess, will have the same stories as the Christians, just based on the geography.
Correct. But people, if you see your child or your loved one or your husband wake up with scratch marks, bite marks. I've had big bite marks. And the bite pattern is not the same as human teeth.
Yeah.
Okay? If you have little blue black marks on your body, especially on your thigh areas, all right, you're not going to bump the inner thigh. You're going to bump the front, you're going to bump the sides. But the inner thigh, unless you're riding a bull, no.
You know, I have a funny story. Not to cut you off, but you have to do it, the point that you're giving them there, but you still have to do your due diligence, because I know of a guy who, when he wake up in the morning, he's seeing bite marks on his wife in her thigh and stuff like that.
But it was human teeth.
After a year, the information come out, it wasn't demon teeth, it was human teeth.
So the pattern is different. This is also what people need to be trained on.
Right.
And yeah, there's many stories like that. They try to pass it off. They bring their wife here, say, is she possessed? And when you check her, she's normal. I say, no, that's not that. You know, but you don't want to get people divorced, but it's something they need to work out. But everybody, this was just to give the current case, what happened when they went to spiritual leaders. It could have been prevented. All the spiritual leader had to do is say, hey, wait, I've heard of someone, you could try them. It don't have to be me, it could have been somebody else.
Yeah.
And at least that person might have had a good chance.
Yeah.
See, as a spiritual leader, our main focus is doing good for humanity. And what happened is not good for humanity. So what happens if it happens again? And the people...
I was wondering about that. So
see, no, I'm saying if another person goes to these people,
right,
are they going to try to do the same thing again? And then are we going to lose somebody else? You know, we're supposed to work for humanity in the name of God, regardless of what religion you're in. Mm-hmm. Okay? So we can't have an ego. We can't have pride. We have to look at the benefit for that individual that needs help.
Yeah.
So all it took was a phone call. That's all it took. And if the mother is listening to this, I'm so sorry on what happened. And, you know, I'm not blaming anybody, but we can't have ego and everything like that. And I just want to know your daughter's in a better place than she was when she was alive. You know, because when a demon takes you, it's not you. It's not your fault. So it's almost like a self-sacrifice. Okay, because she was innocent.
Yeah.
But she was killed by a demon. So now the demon's got to pay for that too.
Yeah.
I want people to understand that. Demons have to pay for their consequences. But just like some humans, they do things not thinking of what the consequences will be until it's too late. So, Omkar, I hoped, I'm just looking at the clock, yeah, it's time. But I'm glad we brought this out, and I hope some people at the end of April, 1st of May, will call and ask to come to the training and better themselves in demonic possessions, how to take them out, how to identify them, you know. And we're just not going to send them out there right after they train. We'll go with them and watch them and make sure they're doing everything right. But Omkar, it's been a pleasure being with you this week. And everybody, I hope this helped you a little bit. I hope it gave you a little knowledge. And we will see you next week. Good night.
God. Has any word in human history been more influential? Mankind has created religion after religion, written book after book, all in an effort to satisfy our quest for knowing God. Now, after many millennia, mankind is more at a loss to the nature of God. In fact, it appears that the tools we created to help us find God serve more as obstacles and hindrances. Those obstacles now stand between God and us. We extend to you an invitation to join Master Eric and Omkar for the weekly program Between God and Us every Sunday evening from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. exclusively on Sankhya Television. Between God and Us. Knowledge to free your soul.